Now this valve body and all of its spool valves that were extremely difficult to remove, and I thought it was a lost cause, now every one of them falls right into place like it should. So that's the main valve body down, and 3 more sub valve bodies to go. Alright, so I got these 2 valve bodies and this accumulator body all overhauled and cleaned and assembled. Every single valve in this main valve body and both valves in this pressure regulating assembly all required extensive bore work and valve work to operate freely, using bore brushes like these, nylon, and 800 grit sandpaper wrapped around a pencil in this drill, and then sanding the valves themselves where there was issues with them by hand on this 800 grit. This valve here, this valve, took me an hour to get this out of here, out of this bore, and then it took me another hour to get this bore suitable so that this valve works in it. The fact that it does is amazing. Never would have expected that. That shit was fucking seized in there, but seems to be good to go now. Find out when let's fire this up if that works, if there isn't too much material removed in there or whatever, but I certainly did as gingerly a job as I could. Well, here I'm just finishing up the case preparation here. A lot of gasket scraping. Torque converter housing's all set, and now I just have to get these back up on the tray, go through all this stuff and clean it up. Well, here's our frictions off our secondary shaft. First and second clutches. You can see there's some overheating going on there, but the actual friction material is still in pretty good shape. And here's where this job doesn't work out. Take a look at first and second gear here. All these clutches had to be pried with a lot of force off of first gear here. These clutches are actually conical now, they're not even flat. And then the other side's not as bad, but is friggin' terrible as compared to third and fourth, which actually look nearly reusable. But that's going to stop this job from getting finished because I was dumb enough to think that I might not need everything the first time around. On the plus side, the diff set up nicely and my bearing preload is right on the money with the shims that I have. So there is some good coming. Got all my valve bodies assembled here. Everything's cleaned up. Look at how clean it is compared to how it was before. Just getting ready to drop all the shafts in and everything. And here we are with our shafts installed, getting ready to put the case back in place. Got our shim for the other side of the diff case here. Make sure this freaking thing has the right starting torque. Well, I already did, thank God, so I know that's going to work. Just getting ready to put our case together. Slightly tapped all these ATF pipes. Tapped them in there, make sure they're bottomed out nice so we don't have problems when we put the other half of the case back on. Got our manual valve in the final detent position. This reverse here, if you can see, that collar has no lip on it on the bottom side. That's critical that it be installed that way. Yeah, there's got to be it. That's got to be on the bottom like that. They note it properly right about there. You can see that lip is facing up and below it. On this gear here, there's a depression around the center of that cog that you need to have facing up as well. Alright, we got our ready to put our case back together here. Got all these dowel pins are all transferred over into the clutch housing here. And I think I just found the difference between these two gaskets. And there's the correct gasket there. All these holes in this housing have all been rethreaded or chased as well, just to make sure everything goes nice and smoothly. Alright, I got the case all torqued, and everything moves freely and quietly. Before I did that, the diff gear was grinding along the edge of the gear above it on the end of this shaft right here, but it moves nice. I mean, it's a little stiff, but there's a lot of shit in there moving, but it definitely moves free without any noise, binding, grinding, grittiness. Just what I was hoping for so far. Just got the side cover and all these internal components here all cleaned up, all the park mechanism and all these shits. This bearing here for the selector shaft is a little bit rough, but certainly it'll work, although I probably would have replaced it if I'd noticed it before. Just got everything tightened down. Approximately 133 foot-pounds. I had to use an impact gun because even though that's not what you're supposed to do, I don't work at a Honda dealership and do not have a main shaft holder. But I think it went fine. Just gotta tighten that bolt down. There it is. All put together. All brand new solenoids. If this thing doesn't work right, I'll be a failure until it does. Alright, here's this thing ready to put in. See if it works.